Hey guys, how's it going? Misa here, back with another Epic 7 video, and today we are going to be doing another episode of the Drafting Guide series. And before we head into it, be sure to hit that sub button, ring the bell for notifications, and hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. And as always, I always stream on Twitch, usually on weekends. Be sure to follow me there to catch me live. But heading into the video, as you can see, this boy on the screen, Violet, is going to be what we're covering today. And my guy's not really geared because, well, immunity gear has been a little bit premium for me as of late. And as a result, I kind of had to take it off of him to put on other units that I thought were more interesting. And I know he's really, really good in the meta right now, so it's kind of my bad for not building him or keeping him built, but whatever. I don't really like him that much as a unit anyways, but he's really annoying to play against, so I am here to talk to you about how you can counter him and how you can pick against him. So really, the main thing that you're trying to deal with is his evasion. He has natural evasion from his S3, increases evasion by 35%, and he's usually on Moonlight Dreamblade, which gives him an extra 20% evasion. So as a result, he has 55% evasion. It's not as much as Remnant Violet's evasion, which is usually around 70% with his evasion buff, but the nice thing about Violet's is that you can't debuff him, or you can't strip him, you can't remove this base evasion of 55% from the artifact and his S3. So that is why he is so powerful. And every time you hit him, he's going to counterattack, and usually on lifesteal, so he's just really hard to deal with and really just completely destroys all water units in the game. So the real main issue, there's two of them. The counterattack being one, and the evasion being two. And that's how we're going to be solving this problem, by targeting his counterattacks and targeting his evasion and trying to make it so they are not as effective. So let's head into something that we haven't talked about before, which is kind of specific to Violet, artifacts. I think that artifacts are really important when it comes to countering or mitigating these evasion units. So there are a couple artifacts that I would recommend when going up against Violet. And as a result of these artifacts, the picks against him may vary, right? You might not have one of these artifacts on a unit that you feel like counters him, but because they have this artifact on them, they can help mitigate against the evasion. So the first one is going to be Symbol of Unity. Very simple, increases hit chance by 20% when attacking, and you also deal extra damage. So it basically nullifies that Moonlight Dreamblade effect, and he has a 35% of avoiding, which is much better than 55%. It's a little bit more than just a coin flip. And with that same idea, we have Misha. So if you have any rangers that you're using, then you can give that ranger Misha, and it will increase hit chance by 20%. Now, I know not everybody has Misha, and I don't have Misha, so I know that's probably a little bit harder to access. And the last one is Song of Stars, which is kind of like a bootleg way of dealing with them. If you land a hit debuff or a target debuff, it'll increase your chance to hit him by 15% because it decreases evasion by 15%. So it's not as good as, let's say, Symbol of Unity or Misha, but it can do the job. And the last one that I would mention is going to be something that everybody has. Well, I mean, everybody should also have Symbol of Unity, right? That's a guild artifact. You get it from Guild Wars or being in a guild. But the last one is going to be Oath Key. Now, this one is definitely more niche. You're not going to be putting on many units, so as a result, I wouldn't really recommend this as a counter to Violet or a way to deal with Violet. Sometimes you might have it on a unit, you never know, but I would just recommend a Symbol of Unity as kind of the base artifact that you should have on every unit that you want to do well against Violet. Or when you have a unit with Symbol of Unity, you should try to use it or strategically place it on units that'll be picked against Violet. Now, those are the artifacts, and they don't completely mitigate his evasion, but they help against it, right? Unfortunately, the way of RNG is sometimes even if you have these artifacts, it just doesn't work. But let's head on to the units. Now, getting into the units, we have, as always, really good, good, and meh. And I'm adding a new category off meta for those of you guys who may not have these meta units, but with this case, Carrot is going to be in everybody's inventory because she is a 3-star. So you should definitely build her. She's really good in the meta right now in general, and is a really good pick against Violet. And as always, these picks are just guidelines for what you should be thinking of whenever you see a Violet being picked on the other team. By no way, shape, or form are they going to guarantee you the win. And sometimes, depending on the makeup, the composition of the other team, you might not even want to pick them because they get hard countered by some of their units. So as always, it's just a guideline for you to start thinking about if you see a Violet on the other team, what units should be popping up in your head. So the first one is going to be Carrot. And she, I'd say, is tied for number 1 with Spectre Tenebria. And the reason why is because whenever, well, for one, she's a fire unit. So Violet has a chance of missing her when he hits her. And 2, it's because of the fact that she burns Violet whenever he hits her. So whenever he hits her, the burn procs onto him, and that's something he can't dodge. And when you want to detonate that burn, you can just S1 him, and regardless of if it hits or not, it'll get detonated. So if he has like 2 or 3 burn stacks on him, he'll probably be dead from that S1. Now, that is the reason why I think Carrot is just a really, really good pick against him, because she's a natural counter to his element, and also she has ways to go through his evasion. The second one, and I'd say is also the number 1, tied for number 1 counter, is going to be Spectre Tenebria. And the reason why Spectre Tenebria is tied for number 1 is because of 2 things. 1, her S1 prevents any sort of countering. So anytime you hit Violet with the S1, he will not counter, and you just deal damage with him without worrying. And the second piece is because she's always stealth, and Violet only does single target damage. So basically, he has to get through every other unit before he is able to hit Spectre Tenebria. So for that reason, she is tied with Carrot as number 1 for picks against Violet. Now, Landy is also really good because her S3 prevents Violet from countering, or anything from countering again. And because of that, and because she also procs S3, she's able to use it pretty often. It makes her a really, really good pick against Violet. Briar Witch Asaria, her S2 is a built-in 35% chance to, or 35% increased chance to hit a unit. So that nullifies the Moonlight Dreamblade plus an extra 15%. So as a result, he's only dodging 20% of the time. And with that, it just nullifies his ability to dodge, and you're able to do a lot more damage to him. Now, going down to the good category, the reason why I have Holiday Euphine here is not because in particular she's super good at going against Violet. Again, she does give those burns, but of course she has to hit him with it. But the reason why Holiday Euphine is especially good against Violet is because, 1, again, she's a fire unit, right? And 2, because her S2 gives her 70% evasion whenever she's at full health, but she also gets 20% at any point in time. So at any point in time, whether she's hurt or not, she will have at least a 70% dodge chance against Violet. But if she's at full health, then she'll have a 100% chance to dodge Violet. So because of that, she's not going to get hit by Violet very often, and you're more likely to hit him with your skills. So as a result, she is a pretty good pick against Violet. Now, going down to the meh category, we have Crow, and he's kind of like an honorable mention because, I mean, he's a water unit, right? You'd think water unit's not good against Violet. But because of his S3 doing so much raw damage, so much non-crit damage, it actually does a really, really good amount of damage through Violet's evasion. So you get hit a couple times, you get pretty low, then you S3 the Violet, and you just delete him. That's why he's in the meh honorable mention category. He's pretty good, and a pick you probably wouldn't pick him because they have a Violet, but more he synergizes with the team, but he also happens to be decent at dealing with Violet. Now here are the off meta picks. So these are units that I would say are not in the RTA meta right now, but could be decent answers to Violet. And of course, I could definitely be missing a couple. There are a couple more here that could be good against them, but these are kind of the ones that rise to the top of my list. So Wanda, all-rounder Wanda. So it has to be specialty changed. She has a ton of hit chance to make it so that you never miss against these evasion units. So she is kind of the premier unit to go against evasion units, but her kit's kind of overall not very good. So as a result, she's not in the meta. But if you're thinking about countering evasion, her kit is really built around that. So all-rounder Wanda gets the off-meta mention because of that. Second, Illinev. Illinev, she's a weird one. The reason why I'd say that is because she's a fire unit, for one, right? So she can do a good bit of damage to Violet, just being a natural counter element. But two, she has the ability to counter units with her, of course. One, you're usually building her on counter set, but two, she's also on Elbrus. And whenever you're countering a unit, they actually can't counter you back. So if you're hitting a counter, for example, off of Elbrus, right? And it's an Elbrus on the Violet, he can't counter back even if you miss. And that's the same for the S1 counter. If he hits your counter attack from your set, then you still don't proc the counter attack from him. So as a result, she's okay. Honorable mention again, not great, but can do a good bit of damage. And if you're lucky, it'll hit him when you're countering and you just slowly chunk him down. And if you hit him, like, don't miss, then you'll probably do a big chunk of damage to him because you're naturally a fire unit. And with that, Cermia, she is a fire unit again, so you're going to be doing extra damage, but she's just a nuker, right? She does a ton of damage. So kind of the same idea as Crow. You just do a ton of damage regardless of if you hit or not. So as a result, even if he dodges, you're doing most of his HP, if not all of it. So that's why she is in the honorable mention for the meta category. Again, these units aren't the best. They're not in meta and they're not amazing, super amazing, other than I'd say Wanda against Violet, but I'd say they're honorable mentions in the off meta category. So there you go, guys. Those are the units that I would pick or think about picking when I see a Violet on the other team. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Are there any units that I missed? And as always, let me know what you think I should cover next. That about wraps it up for today. As always, I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace out.